Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. Today we are continuing in probably our last position breakdown of this deep edge class until we get closer to the combine and to the NFL draft where things might shake up. But we're finishing up with our next 7 prospects that we're going to be covering in today's episode, starting with Nick Bonito. Dill, I'm kicking it off to you because I think this guy is one of your favorite prospects, as he is mine. What do you see in Nick Bonito's game that you like so much there?
I mean, at the peak of his ability to be a pass rusher, he is as good as any of the guys we've had probably since like Cameron Thomas kind of range. So he's really the last guy who's, I think, truly has the opportunity to be an elite pass rusher. He's got the length. I know he's not super tall, but he's got long arms. He's got the flexibility. He's got the speed, the athleticism. Uses his hands well, was fairly productive in limited opportunities at Oklahoma, just wasn't on the field a whole lot and was doing too much spying.
They used him in like spying the quarterback a lot, which is like mind-boggling to me because you have one of the best pass rushers in the country and you're going to drop him into a spy, but nonetheless, keep going.
Yeah, so I think that kind of what you have with him is, he's not the most well-rounded guy. He's probably not going to be a great run defender, but he does have a chance to be a really good pass rusher, in my opinion, and I don't think many guys left on this list of ours kind of show that opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm also a big fan of Nick Bonito. I think his first step, like his get off, is gross. When he's like dialed up, it's a 3rd and long. He knows he has to pass rush. Like he's really good at getting off the ball and getting around tackles. You echo the same concerns I have. For me, it seems like his problems in run defense like stem from like he's just trying to get into the backfield and not really keep leverage and like hold on to that edge, and then he just gets bullied around. But I think from like a athletic physical trait standpoint, this dude is really freakishly good. 7 sacks last year, and again, you said limited pass rushing snaps and also 15 tackles for a loss. So he also gets into the backfield as much as he's inconsistent in the run game. Rock, what are you seeing in this kid?
Yeah, I'm right there with y'all. I think as a pure pass rusher, he's probably better than a lot of the guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
The issues were in the run game.
Yep.
So, I mean, he twitched up as hell.
Yeah.
Really, really quick off the edge, very good speed, but you wonder where he plays in the next level. That's the only thing. So that's why he's lower on the board than a lot of
He's pigeonholed. He's like a 3-4 outside linebacker. He's not putting his hand in the dirt. Definitely not lining up over like he needs some space. And so that's another problem with a guy like him is like there's only a certain amount of teams that you're going to fit in on that defense. Like someone like the Bills wouldn't touch him because he's just not even close to like what the Bills try to do on defense. But again, like you're going to get a really good pass rusher who has the ability to be an elite pass rusher, as Dill said, like polish up some of those moves. And this guy's a good prospect. He's a guy who fell.
I don't like he's not Micah Parsons at all, but you could see him in a similar role where he's going to be a linebacker that can rush the passer a lot of the time. So, I mean, again, he's nowhere near Micah, but in a similar role, I think he'd be pretty good.
Yeah. Moving on to our next guy. This is where we get a little bit on the pre-show. We're talking about Sam Williams. Rock, I'm going to let you lead off because you're not as high on Sam Williams as Dill and I are. What in Sam Williams' game do you like, and then what is kind of holding you back from this kid as a prospect?
Well, I think he has a very strong upper body. I don't think his lower body is as strong as his upper. I think he uses his hands really well. The issue that I see that I guess that y'all didn't see as much is the effort. I thought he kind of played like Kingsley Onigbari. Like I think he played better than his draft. I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. Like maybe it was I was having just like a bad day watching tape. I don't know what it was. But like you just didn't see him a lot of the times, again, especially against Alabama. Like that tape was the first tape I threw on, which was a huge mistake.
In fairness, they were getting hammered too. Like,
well, yeah, it's not even that though. Like you can watch Will McDonald and they're getting hammered, but he's still playing with all the effort in the world. So it's just I don't really see that as an excuse. But
that's funny because you had the same experience with Sam Williams as I did with Brian Asamoah. Like I watched probably his worst game of film all year against Nebraska, and I immediately text you too. I'm like, this guy stinks. Like, And then Bill's like, turn on the Baylor thing, and I was like, totally different player. and Rock's right. I didn't watch the Alabama film. And he's like turning on the Sam Williams Alabama film. Alvin Neal's just moving this guy around like a little doll. And so if you did watch the Alabama film, like it kind of poisons the well a little bit on this prospect. Mississippi State film, his last game of the year in the Egg Bowl. Still, we bet on Ole Miss and just good wreaking havoc. So maybe that's a problem, right? The inconsistency in the film, and then also you just.
Well, I did think against Bama, like, yeah, he struggled a lot with Evan Neal, but Evan Neal's a tank. I mean, he's Michael number 1 overall, so it's like I'm not putting Sam Williams up in the top tier of the edge class, not even close. But I think what he gives you is a guy who I think he can be very much a 3-down player. I think he plays the run fairly well. I agree with Noah that he seems to have like very heavy hands, does an okay job getting guys off balance. My problem is, I think in a very similar light, is he's not quite the explosive athlete that you kind of need to be to kind of capitalize on his ability to use his hands. So that's my concerns. But again, I think he could be a very decent kind of like second DN, maybe a reserve guy. But I think he's pretty versatile, and he should be able to kind of have a decent role on a team.
And is he actually 242 pounds?
That stuns me.
He moves.
I thought he was 260.
Yeah, like
do I need to look that one up? I might have messed it up.
I just don't think that they're updated, and if it is, it's just because like the Ole Miss wants to pump him as like this.
I'd be stunned to see 242. I was with you. I would have.
Okay, it says 265 on the one below that you clicked on.
265, so I probably just answered it in wrong.
Well, let's see what Ole Miss calls him.
Yeah, 265.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, he's bigger than that. Yeah, 100% bigger than that.
To be more of a heavy player, but
good catch.
I don't know. I think he's got a fairly well-rounded game, so that's kind of why I see him a little higher than.
That's kind of what I saw. It's like it's well-rounded. Like there's not many holes in this guy's game. Like you said, maybe a little capped up with the physical attributes and the ability to be a elite guy. Probably not there, but there's something to be said with just being a really solid football player. Josh Pascal next. This guy's my dude. If it was up to me, I'd have him probably a little bit higher. We'll see where he goes. I'll start with him. Probably more of a 3-tech. He is super strong and has a great get off. Like the power that this dude can create is nuts. I was very, very impressed with the Georgia film and the Missouri film. Those are the 2 games that those are the first 2 games I watched. Extremely impressive. Dude gets in the backfield in the run game, gets great. His first step is elite for 278. Like it's nuts. And he's strong, and I think he's pretty polished with his hands. And a little bit of a tweener weight. I think he might be more of a 3-tech, but I loved what I saw from this dude.
Well, my thing with him is I think he's gonna be a first and second down edge guy, because he's not a good edge rusher in my opinion. He's not a particularly flexible or smooth on the edge.
Yeah, the bend isn't. That's not.
But he is really good in the run on the edge. I'll say that, because he does a good job getting his hands on guys, standing them up and shedding them. So I think he'll have a decent strong side defensive end on first, second down, and maybe kick it down into the inside on pass rush downs, because that's where he did his pass rushing work.
Yeah. Rock, what'd you see on this kid?
Yeah, I'm right there with y'all again. In my notes, I have angry wrecking ball, because you just see him blow up plays just randomly too. It's exciting to watch. Like Dill said, you can play him inside and out. So I think a good kind of fit would be for him to play at the edge for the first and second down and third down, kick him inside, get some pressure on the actual pocket, push it. Because his get off is great. I love it. I didn't expect it, because I think the first game I watched, I didn't see it as much. And then the second, third, and fourth, I'm like, okay, well, this is just totally different tape.
His get off is crazy.
Yeah.
This dude is from an off the field perspective, 5th year, 2-time captain at Kentucky. He really was one of the guys that kind of helped turn this program, not necessarily around, but into a top 25 SEC football team. Dude had leukemia 3 years ago. Had missed a year, lost a ton of weight, and put it back on. And you ask Mark Stoops about this guy, and he's like the Aiden Hutchinson of the Kentucky Wildcats.
Mhm.
And like you gotta love that. You're gonna draft this kid, you're gonna get his best every day. And quite frankly, like there's a lot of guys that you probably can't say that about in this draft class. He's not one of them. And so that's another thing that you gotta be really impressed about. As well as what you guys mentioned, the versatility, the power, and the get off. And what they'll mention, the really thing only holding them back to maybe being a higher prospect is like that elite bend that some of the other guys have. But power translates. Like this guy's NFL power, and he's gonna be moving people around at the next level, in my opinion. Will McDonald, Iowa State, a guy that is not getting much love. I asked Rock and Dill to send me their ranks this morning for the show. Will McDonald is number 1 on Rock's board.
Well, on the board that we watched. Yeah. I mean, I talk about a twitched up freak. Like you see him and he looks like Gumby out there. Bendy, quick, turns the corner with like insane speed. What did I have? I think his effort was off the charts 100% of the plays. Like they relied on him every single down to get pressure on the quarterback because their defense is so odd. And I don't know what they run there, but it just doesn't work well. But he's someone that like in the draft, bendy, fast, long edge rushers don't last long. Like NFL scouts know that because they have such a high floor. And he's no exception. I think that at the end of the day, I think I would take him in the second round, without a doubt. Like the Cowboys would get him at the second round pick. I would be totally fine with that.
I wish we got to see this guy play on a normal team. I hate that 3-3. It makes me want to throw up because it just doesn't give a guy like him the opportunity to show what he does because he's not working on the edge enough and he's working head up on tackles and whatever else he's doing. But yeah, I'm willing to. I don't know. I didn't see as much as Rockoff, but I almost now want to take a second look at it. I feel like because. Again, part of it could be me being poisoned by all this stupid defense who wants to take a guy who plays head up on tackles and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, you're super high on him, so I'd be very willing to give him a second shot. My one issue is he did not dominate against Clemson, and that's a team that I feel like good D linemen should be feasting on because they struggled against everyone.
I think he dominated against Iowa. I think that was one of his best games. And
yes.
A good offensive line. So
to be fair,
those are bad tackles.
Yeah, Iowa tackles this year weren't great. Like this was like the first year where it's like Tyler Linderbaum, like PFF grading wise, like Iowa was in the top 5 in the PFF grades, which are like those are another topic. But like they were so high because Tyler Linderbaum just carrying the group on his back. He's like the nerd all the work in the group project.
We got to talk about Linderbaum, by the way, like later on. Another episode, but I got some bad info on him. Not
I look forward to it. I
got some bad info for you about him, not bad info.
Tyler Linderbaum slander show, so be careful. Will McDonald, the two things I'll close with is I didn't quite see like the physical attributes, like the twitch stuff, as much as you saw it. I did see the motor. And that's what you need if you're playing defensive line on Iowa State, you need that motor because they're rushing 3 every snap. And so it's like to get pressure, like you need to be working hard. And he does that. And like the production, he had 11.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. Last year, he also had double-digit sacks and TFLs. Like that's just a product of like relentlessly getting after the quarterback. I mean, that's what Will McDonald did. And I did see that on the film. Interesting prospect. I want to go back. I'm going to have to go back and watch a few more games as well because I didn't quite see it the way you saw it. But that's just part of the draft process. Like, not always going to agree, and you're just going to see guys in different lights. So
where is he being mocked right now? Like I
haven't
seen
not in day 2.
Really? Day 3 pick?
Okay, day 3 pick, yeah. 100%.
All right. I'll be right about him, and I'll laugh at all the rest of this.
I love it. Mijai Sanders from Cincinnati. I didn't love him. I feel like he was getting a lot of hype because it was like a non-power 5 guy who's good on a team that's kind of like Cinderella. Like not that productive. Like he only had 2.5 sacks this year. Like the people say his get off was like something like good. Like I wasn't like his get off's decent. Like it's pretty solid. But like there was nothing in his game that was like this guy's special, and that's kind of why I have him on like maybe a similar take than like Sam Williams, where it's like solid football player. What did you guys see in him?
I mean, Sanders is one of the first players I watched. I did think he had pretty good first step quickness, but his moves are so just awkward and wild. Like you'll see, is like an awkward player is the best way you can explain.
Very much agree.
Yeah, and it worked for whoever the hell they were playing at Cincinnati. Like I don't know. Like he got in the backfield, he made some plays, but he's gonna have to work a lot as a pass rusher because he's not big enough to be kicked inside. And I don't think he has like the strong lower half that you'd like to see. So I wasn't as high on him. I think I had him like the last player, like below Isaiah Thomas even. But I know there's scouts that really like him.
Yeah,
I had the very similar issue. Is like he did. I think Rock's right. I thought he was fairly explosive. He looked, in a sense, kind of like had the athleticism that you kind of look for, but he was on the ground way too much. And it's like he might get onto a tackle, but then he just like lose his feet. He'd be swinging his arms wildly, not using them with a ton of purpose and finishing his moves. So that's kind of I agree. There's just something like not smooth. Like you think of DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, those guys who are really good, like they were just smooth as silk and they had elite moves and finished it. And I just didn't see that with him. Not even really close. So
my notes were 3 lines. It was strong get off, and then I said in parentheses kinda, and then it was the meh, MEH, and then like production ain't great. That's like I just I don't know. It was just like
doesn't jump off the tape. Out of all the players in the defense, he's like
and I think I'm gonna put him over Isaiah Thomas. Let's get into Isaiah Thomas. What did you guys see in Isaiah Thomas' game? I'll start with he was playing way too much on the interior. Like I don't think he's a 3-tech. I don't think he belongs on the interior. A lot of his best production came from outside on the edge. And so I just was a little frustrated watching him and seeing how much they stuck him over guards. It's just that's not where his bread and butter is. What did you guys see in Isaiah Thomas' film?
Bill, you want to go?
I struggle with Isaiah Thomas because I thought he had a better year last year. Seemed more productive
last year. Yeah,
and I thought he did his best work on the inside last year. The thing is, he's a little undersized, but he doesn't get pushed. I didn't think he was getting pushed around much because he does have good first step quickness and he's pretty savvy with his hands and getting in the gaps. But
good ball from a couple reps.
I don't know. It seemed like a different player this year. The production wasn't quite there, and
whole team,
I don't know. The whole defense. We thought they were going to be great. They obviously were very much not, and he's a guy I struggle with because I thought he was coming in top 5 level defensive tackle, and now, you're right. He didn't really dominate on the inside. Everyone's mocking him on the edge, and so I'm conflicted. I just don't know what he's going to do. That's kind of
you want to see him a little heavier than 266. That's just not a big enough lower half, probably. Rock, what did you see on this kid?
I thought he was more of a finesse player than a power player. You didn't see the play strength that much in him. Good at using his hands, plays half man. I think he's good at converting run to pass, but it was kind of frustrating watching him play because you don't really know where he's going to line up, and it depended. His production depended on where he was. So I didn't love him. I think that right now in the draft, you'll find a lot better pass rushers and a lot better run stuffers. So you got to put him at the bottom of your list. So I didn't love him that much.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of summing him up is where's he gonna be good at in the NFL? How's he gonna help an NFL team?
Yeah.
And it's is he elite pass rusher? No, didn't put that out on film. Is he elite run stopper? No, didn't really put that on the film. Question marks. And also a little bit of that tweener weight coming in play. And you said you don't know where he's gonna line up. It was so frustrating watching because I have to pause it every time and all right, where the hell is this guy now?
Right. And they rotate so much.
He's didn't play that. Yeah, him and Nick Bonito weren't playing that much. This is a weird. They had a lot more talent on that defense side of the ball than like they play.
Lincoln Riley's head was already at USC.
Yeah, he was already in the
free
sand over on.
They play a lot of players out of position because I think realistically Perry and Winfrey's a 3-tech, and I think Isaiah Thomas is an edge, and I think whatever you call Bonito as an edge or a linebacker, I don't really know. That defense was just so small but fat. It just didn't work out.
That was the biggest problem with Bonito's film is they just didn't give him a consistent spot. Like line this guy up and tell him to go get the quarterback. That's where he's going to be successful, and they just didn't let him do that. Last prospect, and I feel like I'm like beating the horn a little bit, but like beating the horn. Boye Mafe from Minnesota, also a guy that just didn't totally stand out. ROC mentioned something interesting, like you listen to other draft analysts, their takes on him is like he's really athletic. If he was that athletic, he wouldn't be in his 6-year senior year at Minnesota. You know, like if he was that special of an athlete, because he's pretty solid technically. It's just I didn't see that like superior athleticism at Minnesota. I'm interested to hear like what you guys saw about him.
I saw like across the board. I don't know what jumps out. I don't know what people are getting elite athleticism. He's like a good athlete. He's decent technician, I guess, but like everything was kind of just like good. And I don't know like what traits you're gonna draft and be like, man, this guy really might have a shot into developing into something like at a starting caliber guy. So that's kind of where I was at with him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that he was a really good edge setter, and he's super disciplined. You don't really see him losing draft responsibility. But he's not a great athlete. I don't see it. I don't know where these scouts are seeing it. And I know he dominated the Senior Bowl, Senior Bowl, which is good. It's going to help him in his draft stock, but there's just a lot to work on with him. And again, the quickness wasn't all there. The pass rush ability wasn't all there. I know he had like flash plays where like some scouts on Twitter were kind of reposting his pass rush ability, but you see that once a game. And how can you rely on that as an edge rusher? I don't know.
One thing I note about the Senior Bowl is like the level of tackle play at the Senior Bowl is pretty low.
Yeah.
And he had 2 strip sacks in the Senior Bowl game, which you can take or leave like the Senior Bowl game as a whole. But they were both against like one kid was from Southern, which is an FCS school, and then I think the other one was from UTSA. So it's like it wasn't like beating like a Trevor Penning or Darren Kennard or like it was like some of the charity offer Senior Bowl guys, like the guys who probably better seniors, but they're trying to get some smaller FCS schools involved in the game, which I get and credit Jim Nagy for doing that. But like they weren't the best prospects, like they weren't NFL prospect guys.
Right. Did you know that Jermaine Johnson like sat out Thursday?
Yeah, because he was so good.
Yeah,
I mean that kind of relates
there.
He
was too good.
He dominated every single day on the one-on-ones that his agent was like, don't play, you don't have to play in the game. Like why
he doesn't need the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is not for guys of his ilk.
We're gonna move him up, by the way. We're gonna move him up to 3 because he's that special.
Has to be 3.
I mean, he's a freak.
I mean, he's really coming on, and
so that'll do it for our edge rankings. I think that's gonna do it unless we see some more guys that might pop at the combine, then we'll get some film on. But like that's kind of the stories like after Nick Bonito, Sam Williams, Josh Pascal, like the next couple of guys are just like they're good football players, and like that you draft them and be a 2-deep defensive end and bring them in certain spots, but like they're not guys that you're gonna like trade picks for to go get because there's no.
The only thing for me, the only 2 guys who really stand out as like having some traits that are like almost what you'd call special is Pascal and Bonito.
Uh-huh.
And I like Sam Williams. I like McDonald, but like those.
Stop it.
Oh, whatever. I'll watch him again, but
I'm gonna watch him again too because I didn't see
pop out to me.
I'm gonna watch it again too. That'll do it. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the ROC Boys. We have a blast making these position rankings. We are going to, I believe, be filling out the next class of defensive tackles, and then we're finally gonna get to the quarterbacks at some point.
Yeah.
You guys know our opinion on the quarterbacks, and then maybe we'll do one more crop of offensive tackles as well. But the position rankings are coming along, and then we're gonna add our big board. ROC, we might need to add you a little spot on the big board here, and we're gonna see how well we do projecting some of these prospects in the NFL. But as usual, appreciate you rocking with us, and we'll be back with more NFL draft content soon. Peace, y'all.